Welcome to the Soul Tribe Podcast. The Soul Tribe Podcast was created to help you navigate through the world of spirituality, wellness, and self-development in an easy, grounded, and relatable way. We break down everything from the Akashic Records, manifesting, spirituality, and so much more. We want to help expand your boundaries and bring the spiritual world to you in a fun and easy way. Get ready to be inspired with tips, tools, and easy to digest information. Let's do this.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the Soul Tribe Podcast. If you've listened to us before, thanks for coming back. If it's your first time, we hope that you get something useful and amazing out of our conversations. And we usually upload episodes we always upload episodes on Monday mornings. So if you liked it, you can just have to wait till the next week, Monday, and you'll have a new episode. Today we're going to talk about self-love and self-care, which actually is a lot of stuff. It's not just one thing, right? So that can go from spiritual to body, mind, spirit, all that. So we're just going to talk about what it means to us, what we do, what, our experiences as Akashic Records readers, what we've seen lack of, or what we've seen that helps. So we're going to go through all that stuff. But first of all, I wanted to start as what it means to me. For me, mostly, it's making sure I meditate because it means that I'm spending like a moment with my internal self and listening to myself. It's almost like my own psychologist going, okay, let me check in on myself. Is everything okay? And then once I get things out of the way or listen to whatever I have to say to myself, then I'll start my proper meditation where I'll try to quiet the mind, right? The stillness meditation, which a lot of times ends up, for me at least, as an Akashic Records reader, it converts into me listening to messages from the masters, which is the meditations usually the really good moments where I get really good information for me or family members around me. So it's like a reading for myself in a way, because I never really have time to read for myself, but I always make sure to have time to read others. So meditating is kind of my way of making sure that I'm not checking spiritually in for everybody else. I'm also checking in for myself. And then for me, it's also working out, but not because I think that you have to look good. I like the way that I feel when I come back from a run and I go, oh yeah, I feel really good. I feel like I can move better and I feel like I can stretch better and I feel like I like myself more. I like everything. I just feel better in general. And also it helps me with my mind. For me, going out for a run, I'll go for a run when I'm really happy. I'll go for a run when I'm really mad. If I'm really upset, I just want to go for a run, and it's almost like I burn it on and I'll think about whatever I'm thinking about while I'm running, and when I come back, I'll be calmer and I'll be more out of the way. So that for me is my big internal self-care, making sure I have time to meditate, check in on myself, make sure I read myself or get messages every once in a while from the spiritual beings, and just doing some sort of workout that helps me connect a little bit better with my body and my mind at the same time. What is it for you, though, Lo?
For me right now, I think it's shifted a lot in the last few months, but for me right now, I started doing Kundalini yoga, which is every Saturday, and I think I'm going to start going on Tuesdays at lunchtime as well, but for now it's Saturdays, and it's an hour and a half of just letting out emotions. This Saturday, I didn't really cry a lot, but the Saturday before, I cried for an hour and a half in the class. It was amazing. It was this release of emotions where I feel like I don't have time to do that sometimes, not that I don't allow myself, because when I feel like crying, I just cry, or if I'm upset, I'm upset. But it's that an hour and a half that you can really just let stuff out and allow yourself to feel things and give yourself time to breathe. You're physically breathing and processing everything where we don't allow ourselves to do that. I don't allow myself to do that, at least not when I'm working or when we're doing stuff for the podcast, or if I'm doing an Akashic Records reading for someone. It's really hard. And I found that Kundalini, I don't know, something kept calling me to it, and I started doing it, and now it's I crave it, and it feels so good. And then I think another thing for me would be journaling in the morning. And I've been getting back into that. I've really been putting effort to get up a little bit earlier every morning and journal, even if it's for 10 minutes, and meditate, even if it's for 5 or 10 minutes. Those are really important for me. And I think that's so much more than self-care for me. Self-care would be something else, I think, but that's more like my self-love stuff. And then having time to myself, just being able to hang out with myself, even if it's an hour a week, to be by myself. And if it's like watching something on like Netflix or watching my favorite YouTube kind of channels or working on my website or doing something for myself. And exercising for me, most of my life was torturing myself, I think. It was a lot of, oh, I need to lose weight, or I need to look a certain way, or I need to do something this way because it's going to make me, I don't know. It's just this idea of working out equated to looking a certain way. Now for me, working out is not that. It's about making time for myself, first of all. Taking that, even if it's like 20 minutes to go to the gym or to go for a walk or do something. For me, lifting weights is probably my favorite thing right now. I used to love running and I've kind of gotten out of it and I don't enjoy it as much. But for me, it's going to the gym, putting my headphones in, listening to a podcast or music, whatever I feel like on the day, and then lifting weights. And I usually follow a program, but it's been probably like 2 months that I haven't been following anything because I feel like I don't want that structure. I want to just go into the gym and do whatever feels right. So for example, the last 2 times I went to the gym, I lifted a little bit, but I actually worked on mobility. So it was like these stretches that I do for like moving my body because I'm sitting down all day and my posture is horrible. So I feel like I need to move my body and twist my body and do these things with like my hips and opening my hips up. So I do that and I do whatever feels right on the day. And I do want to get into a program, but it's like right now I feel like I need to be more gentle with myself and listen to myself more. So that would be, it's so much, self-love is so much more than that. And we'll get into that in a little bit later. But for now, those are the ways that I take care of myself and give myself time and compassion. And don't pressure myself to do things I don't want to do, and listen to myself. When I don't want to do something, I say no. Or if I feel like doing something, but I feel like I have to clean the house or do this, I'm just like, all right, that can wait. I can do that later or tomorrow or the day after, and no one's going to die and it's going to be okay. Because I feel like I really pressure myself to be like on the ball every day and do everything on time and I have a schedule, and I've kind of tried to push away from that lately. And that's helped me a lot be more gentle with myself, I think.
Yeah. I loved what you said about like you don't really follow a program for working out. I actually don't do that anymore either. So I used to like follow like little routine workouts, and it was arms do this arms and repetitions this much and this much that and that. And I used to follow it, and I was like, I just feel like I still want to do weights and I want to do squats and I want to do abs like when I work out at home. But I just want to do what I feel like doing. Like I don't want to be pushed to do, whatever exercise. I don't feel like doing a push-up today. I'm not going to do the push-up. So what I do now is I make sure I do 30 minutes of squats, abs, and arms. And I'll have like these little weights. And then I'll use like my exercise ball, or I'll use my own body weight to do push-ups or crunches or whatever. But I'll just do what I feel like doing, and I'll create my own program in the moment. Sometimes I'm going into it, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I'm just like, okay, I feel like doing this. Oh, I'm really into crunches right now. I'm going to keep doing it. And that for me is really important because I'm working out and I'm taking care of myself in that sense, but I'm also making sure that I'm enjoying it and I like it. So I also don't like, following routine anymore. And that's part of running for me. I don't go out and I don't like, I think I should even call it running. I should call it like slow jogging. I go out and do slow jogging because I literally listen to the slowest, most like tranquil music. And I'll be like, that's like my run, I look like a little old lady probably from the back, but I enjoy it. And yeah, sometimes I'll get in 8 kilometers, but it'll take me like an hour or 20 minutes or something, right? But I enjoy the whole time. I'm not out of breath. I'm getting a nice workout in some sort of a way, right? But I'm actually enjoying it. And like you, sometimes I'll listen to podcasts or whatever I'm in the mood for. Sometimes I'll even listen to like true crime podcasts or something because I love like true crime. So I'll be like running and listening. I'll be like, oh my God, that did not happen. I'm like running and like...
Just enjoying it, right?
Yeah, enjoying it. Yeah. So that's totally something that started happening to me. And like you, I used to work out to look good. I was like, no, look at the fat I have here. Look at the cellulite here. Look at this. And I just wanted to look better. And now I don't work out to look better. I work out to feel better and like what I like how I see myself more, which doesn't mean that I'm like totally thin or totally in shape. It just means that I've finally come to terms. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can accept yourself any shape, size, form, and still not look exactly maybe how you imagine yourself, but you can still love yourself. And I think that's, if you can do that, anything you do will be okay. But I think for me now, going back to what you were saying, it's about, I think, okay, I'm 38, I'm getting older. I want to be able to move when I'm older. I don't want to torture myself now, hurt myself in any way where 10 years down the line, I've created this chronic injury because I was so bent on doing something this way or this program, and maybe it wasn't the best thing for me, but I thought, oh my God, this is what I need because this is how I need to look. But now it's more about, okay, what am I going to do today for maybe 10 years down the line for myself to feel good, to be healthy, to have my body move, freely. Because if I don't take care of myself now, 10 years down the line, so that's like self-love. That's how I see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that whole body thing, I mean, after I had Aurora, I had that typical, a lot of mothers that have kids will talk about the little like lower pouch. I don't know if they call it the baby pouch, the little pouchy thing under your belly button. It's different. It's like the muscles stretched out, and I don't know, like I've done crunches and it's gone back a little, but it's still there. Like you can totally tell that I had a kid at some point. And I was actually hating it. I was hating it for a long time. And I don't know if you remember, but after I had Aurora, I was like, Lorena, my stomach's it's not going back. It's not going back. And for the longest time, I was kind of obsessed with that. And then I finally kind of let go of it. And I just kept working out, but I started enjoying it. And by enjoying it, I started doing it more often. Like I wouldn't have a week where I was like, oh, I'm done this week. No, I'm not going to do anything. And then I just started doing it because I kind of went easier on myself and I just enjoyed it more. And now I'm feeling pretty good. And I try to eat healthy, but because I want to be healthy, not because I want to lose weight. So I no longer focus on losing weight. I just focus on being healthy. And I've even bought like different kinds of I'm like, okay, times have changed. My body has changed. I'm going to start buying those higher bikinis, the ones that go up to your belly button. So like I literally got those and I love it. Like it just covers my pouch and I no longer feel uncomfortable when I'm sitting down and it rubs against my C-section cut, or it it has an issue. The lower bikini part has an issue with my baby pouch thing. Like now I have those higher bikini ones. I'm like, oh, actually, I'm loving it. I feel good now. Now I can be on the beach and I feel totally comfortable. Because that was a whole issue. I didn't feel comfortable. I felt like, oh, let me cover up. Let me put a towel around me or something. So that for me was a big part of self-love. Like I had a baby. I had to be nice on myself. Like my body went through a lot. And yeah, some people bounce back really well and some people don't. And I am who I am. And as long as I'm trying to stay healthy and do the right thing for myself, then it took me a really long time to get here though. Like a really long time.
It's hard. It's so hard.
Like maybe about like 3 months ago, I started being okay with the way I look, something like that. But yeah, it was hard for me. It was hard for me. And especially like you see a lot of people that you see like the before and after pictures where mothers are like with the baby stomach, right before popping. And then you see them and they're like, oh, the baby's 3 months old and they look spectacular. They go, what? I'm 6 months postpartum and I look like you when you were pregnant. Like, how did you do that?
You have to be realistic with yourself and your own body. I think everybody's body's so different. I don't know. I have my personal training certification and I'm studying now to get my certification in mobility, like a mobility specialist. And even after a woman gets pregnant or even after you've had the baby, you should be working out in a different way. You shouldn't even be working out how you worked out before. Like everything changes. So you have to really be gentle with yourself. I feel like the more pressure you put on yourself, it makes it worse. With everything, with meditating, with your body, with how you're eating. I think you just need to come from a place of self-love. Going back to the self-love, it's about, if you love yourself, you're going to want to do something that's good for you. And you're not doing it because it's torture or because you have to do it. You're doing it because you want to do it, because you love yourself and you want to take care of yourself. And with having a baby, like I haven't experienced that, not yet at least. So I don't know, but I can imagine how hard it is and the pressure that women have to bounce back so quickly. And it's so like, there's so many women coming out now and being, very real on Instagram and Facebook, and it's amazing and I love it. And I feel like it's allowing other women to just follow their own path. And it might take them 2 years to lose the weight, or maybe they'll never lose the complete weight that they, gained with the baby. And that's up to you to accept your body and to be gentle with yourself and to be like, okay, realistically, like, am I doing everything to be healthy? Yes. Is my body not changing? Maybe I have a hormonal imbalance still. Some people have postpartum depression. It's a big deal having a baby. Like, it's huge. And I feel like it's downplayed a lot of times. And it's, you had a C-section. You were they cut through you. Like, it's crazy. How can you bounce back quickly? There's no way you can do that. You need to be so gentle and you need to take things slow. You have to wait, what was it, like 6 to 8, like 2 months just to work out, or 3 months? What was it?
I don't remember anymore, but yeah, it was a while till like they gave me the okay, and whatever I had to do in the beginning, it was like, okay, be really gentle, like whatever you do. For a long time, you can't do crunches. I think it was. I can't even. It's great. They say that women block this stuff because it's the biological way of women wanting to have another kid. So you just completely forget all this stuff. It's almost like the hormones. It's true. Like, you totally forget all this stuff. I remember. Just the only thing I remember of it after is having fever for like 3 days.
I remember that, yeah.
And I kept going to the doctor and asking them, and they couldn't give me anything because I was breastfeeding. But it ended up being the withdrawal from the amount of anesthesia I'd been given, because I'd been under anesthesia for like 36 hours. So I was like a drug addict getting the anesthesia out of the system or something, which I didn't find out till like months later. I was like, oh, that's what that was. I just thought I was extremely sick, and the C-section had like done something, something went wrong. But yeah, it's a lot. And then at the same time, you have to take care of a baby who needs to be fed constantly. And that for me, that was a moment where I had no self-love. Like, it was fever, trying to sleep, waking up, feeding. And then I'm like, let me just get 5 hours in. And the baby, of course, needs food 2 hours, 3 hours in. The baby needs more milk. So you're just sleeping these small stretches of time. And for whoever's listening, if you guys know what mate is this like drink thing that we drink in Uruguay and Argentina. Since Lorena and I grew up in Uruguay, we drink it a lot. And so it's like in a ceramic or glass kind of cup thing, and it has a metal straw, and it's this like, it's almost like tea, but not in the bag. So it's like the loose leaves, and the metal straw has like a filter, so you put in like the hot water, right? And for me, mate was always my me time, and that sounds so weird, but it's like I always love my mate time. And I remember mom came to Cayman to help me with the baby after she was born, and at one point Aurora had been crying the first like 2 months, like nonstop. It was because my milk didn't have enough fat. Also took months to figure out, right? And she was losing weight, so she was really hungry, and she was just crying. And I didn't know what to do. I just kept feeding her, and nothing was working, and she was spitting up and whatever. And I remember Mom looked at me and goes, what are you going to do? And I remember breaking down and going, I just want to drink mate in peace for like an hour. Can I just watch a Netflix movie and just drink like mate for like an hour and a half? Like, that's all I want right now in life. That's all I want. Like, that was the me time I needed, which I never managed to get for myself. And I should have done it. I look back at it. I should have been like, hey Mom, can you just take her for like an hour and a half, or like, switched her off somehow, and just gone into the room, closed the door, made myself a mate, and watched whatever I wanted to. I should have done it, but I didn't. And I broke down because, and it's weird things, like you'd think you'd want something else. No, that's the only thing I wanted. I just wanted my mate in peace.
So great. Like, I don't know. It really, I think having a kid really tests your self-love, because you've gone, depending on where you started from, obviously. And I think we talked about this before. You could already be on this self-love journey. You could already completely love and accept yourself, and then you have a kid, and then you're put to the side. Your main priority and your main focus is your child. But then somehow you need to find time and space for yourself. And maybe at first you don't find that, or you don't have the ability to, you might not have family close by. You might not have anyone take care of the baby. You might have to do it completely alone or with your partner, depending on if you're like an only, you're raising your kid on your own. Everyone's situation is different, but I feel like that really tests your self-love and your self-acceptance. And it pushes you to really strive and seek time for yourself and self-care. I think that's a struggle with a lot of moms. I mean, even not having a kid, that's hard. Sometimes with work, obligations, cleaning, doing this, doing that, finding and making time for yourself and your self-love is so hard. But you have to do it. And you have to sometimes say no to things. Sometimes you have to push things to the side. Say, okay, I plan to do this today, but you know what? This can wait. This can really wait a day or two. And right now what I need, and listen to yourself, right now what I need is like an hour to myself to go for a walk. Or I need to go to the gym. Or I need to read a book in silence. Or I need to sit outside with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and just listen to the birds chirping. Like you just need to listen to yourself. I don't know, you can maybe chime in on having kids and self-love, but I feel like for everybody it must be different. But it must be so much harder to find time for yourself.
I mean, the beginning, that was my thing. I never did take that time at all, and I should have. But at the same time, I knew that I only had 3 months and I had to go back to work. And I also felt that mother guilt that a lot of mothers feel, where I knew the second I was going back to work, I wasn't going to be with her. I literally had a baby, and I'm going to pass her over to somebody that's going to be her nanny, who's going to be able to spend the day with her while I go and work, right? And so I think that's also part of the reason why I didn't give myself that hour and a half that I wanted, because I was carrying the guilt knowing that, oh, in a month I'm going back to work. Oh, in 2 weeks I'm going back to work. Oh, 1 more week, I'm back to work. And I just think, no, I'm gonna miss this. I should be with her every moment I can, because I'm gonna be going to work. And what happened? Then I went back to work, and then it was every moment that wasn't at work, it was, being with her, and there was no time for me at all at any point ever. And yeah, but that's the way it is most of the time. And hopefully you have a good support system around you where you're like, here, take the baby for like an hour, and I'm, like you said, I'm gonna go just drink a cup of coffee outside and just be alone and not hear anything besides nature or something, right? But now that she's older, it's progressed, and she started preschool, so it's different. So I now get about 2 to 3 hours 3 times a week where she's at preschool, and I dedicate half that time to trying to learn Dutch, because being in Holland and not knowing Dutch is very difficult. Trying to bring yourself into groups and people are talking, and they want to speak their language. They all want to speak in Dutch. And so you do get left, on the side a lot, very often. And so I know that I have to learn the language. And so I'm taking half that time to learn the language, because you can't drop your responsibilities and the things you need to do, but you also need to make time for yourself. And then the other half of the time I use, I think it was on Friday. On Friday I went for a run. I studied the first half of the time, and then the other half I went for a run, and that was it. That was time to pick her up from preschool. So yeah, I'm starting to learn. I'm still in the learning process of doing that. I'm still starting to learn how to do my me time, and still make sure that I'm a good mother and I'm there for her at the same time.
Yeah, without losing yourself or without ignoring your needs, right? Which is hard. But I feel like sometimes you don't need an hour. Sometimes it could be even 20 minutes where you journal or you meditate, or you can carve out time at the end of the day when they've fallen asleep, or in the morning, or when they're taking a nap. You have to be very creative, I think, a lot of times. But I wanted to touch on, for me, my self-love journey, which I'm still on, and I will be on for a while, I think, because that's part of my struggle here on Earth and in this life. What were the things that have changed for me maybe when I started loving myself more? For me, it was a huge shift of saying no to a lot of things, really respecting myself more and realizing that certain things I didn't have to say yes to for fear of rejection or fear of people thinking I wasn't like, cool. I don't know. Just, I feel like now I can say no to things and do things more in an aligned way. For example, what we've talked about a few times, and it's come up with a lot of conversations, like going out to bars and drinking. I don't drink anymore. I haven't drank in over, even before I wasn't really a big drinker. I'd have a drink once in a while. But since really going down this spiritual path with the Akashic Records, I've decided to not drink because it was giving me a lot of anxiety, and I was really questioning why I was even doing it. So that was a big thing of self-love as well, and I feel great. But then that's also made me feel like the people around me had to shift because I don't agree with a lot of the things people do and how they live. And it's not to criticize them or judge them. It's just I don't want to be around that energy or that kind of environment. So, a lot of times people will go out to bars and I won't drink, and that's fine. And I don't feel bad about it. And if people question it, I can be honest. And a lot of times saying no to going out to certain places because I don't feel like I like the environment there or what people are doing or being around drunk people. That's a big thing for me, saying no. That's been like huge for me. And also how I spend my time. Before I felt a lot of that FOMO, like fear of missing out, when I was saying no to things, and I'd be like, whoa, everybody's out. What are they doing? I'm not there. And now I don't feel that at all. I'm like, okay, this is aligned with me to stay home and to study, or to be home and to be doing an Akashic Records reading for somebody, because that really fulfills me and makes me feel like I'm living my true path. If I go out and drink, I don't feel good, and I can say no to that, and that's okay. And then also taking certain people out of my life, kind of not giving them that place that they had before because they don't feel aligned with me anymore. And that's okay. It's not anything against them. It's just I feel different, and I feel like I want to be around more people aligned with me spiritually. And that kind of started happening like effortlessly. When I got my Reiki level 1, and when I started doing the Akashic Records, just certain people started kind of shifting into my life, in and out. They're not always in there, but I just feel like this other support system of people that are on the same path as me. And they might not be right next to me. They might not be here in Cayman. They might be somewhere else, but I still feel that they're there with me, and that if I need them, they're there. And also now I feel like I'm here for myself. Whereas before I felt like I had to lean on people so much, and I still do. But before it was like, if I didn't have someone physically there, taking care of my needs or being there for me for this or for that, I felt like I was alone. Where now it's like, I can be there for myself. I can listen to myself. I can hear myself. I can, if I'm having a hard day and I feel really frustrated or feel like crying, I can be there for myself. I can let it out, and I can be compassionate with myself. And if I need to talk to someone, I will. But in general, I can deal with it. I can be there for myself, which I was never like that before. So it's shifted so many things, and it shifts everything without you sometimes even controlling it. It just happens. It's been really interesting, to be honest. It's been really, really interesting.
Yeah, my path is very different from yours. I think for me, the moments that I felt more, I guess, not in tuned and left out were when I became vegan. So I was vegan for 4 years, right? Before that, I had been pescatarian. And it started with the Akashic Records because red meat was like this. Red meat is really strong in that what it absorbs spiritually. So it kind of like goes into your system. And if the animal went through a lot of suffering, you're ingesting that. If you ask the Akashic Records, that's kind of like the explanation they'll give you. And so it felt right. Then I wasn't told that I had to do it. No one told me that I had to do it. But it felt like it was this like, I'm kind of done with red meat. And so I haven't had it in, I think it's 7 years now or something. So I haven't had any red meat at all. but then after a few years, I felt like, oh, I think I'm ready to be pescatarian. So I was only eating fish, but I was still eating egg and cheese. And then one day I was like, oh, I think I'm ready to be vegan. So I moved on to vegan, and I ended up carrying that out for 4 years. And that was awful in the sense that, and this is like, now veganism is like more of a thing and it's more out there and there's more restaurants and people kind of understand it more. But at the time I would go to a party, they'd be like, oh, sorry, there's nothing. Oh, I have a bowl of nuts. Like, sorry, we only have a bowl. I think that's the only thing you can eat, right? Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. And that was like my response. And it got to a moment where like everyone would be sitting down, there'd be barbecue, everybody sitting down eating and sharing their food and everyone talking. And I was just eating there, like munching on some popcorn and like a bowl of nuts or something. But it like it was the feeling of feeling left out. And I was doing it because it felt right to me. But at the same time, going to, meetups and going to like parties and barbecues and pool parties and this and that, there was always a feeling of being left out. And it took me maybe 2 years of those 4 years of veganism to emotionally deal with it properly, because I was getting angry at people in the beginning. Like, what? Like, you know that I'm vegan. And like, I was like really angry about it, but because I felt hurt, I think it was more of like a feeling left out, feeling hurt thing. And then after 2 years, I kind of started accepting it a little bit more when I went out. So I never had the alcohol thing though, because I still drink alcohol. I drink, I love wine. Like, I love white wine, and in the winter I love red wine, especially with like dinner and stuff, but I don't get drunk. I don't do drunk. So I don't like either seeing people that are drunk. I don't like going to parties where the goal is to get drunk. I don't like going places where we're all sitting around a table and the whole idea is to be drinking. And it's really fun for everybody because everyone thinks everybody's hilarious when more drinks are in their system. And I'm just sitting there going, that's not really funny to me, because I am not at your level of drunkenness, because I'm just literally enjoying my drink, but not getting drunk. So that's still a hard one sometimes. And especially when everyone around you is still kind of in that phase of the social part of the event being the drinks. And I'm one of those people, like, for me, like, the perfect outing is maybe an intimate group of like 4 or 5 people, and we all have like, we're all sharing all the bunch of appetizers, and we have maybe a few glasses of wine with appetizers. And that for me is like a perfect night out. Like we had spoke about this once, and Lorena, you're like, Lucia, you can't expect everyone to be like you. We're both very old ladies.
I'm a grandma, like, I know that. And I'm okay with that now. Like, I didn't used to be, but that's okay for me now.
Yeah, and like when I talk to my partner about it, like when I talk to Sandra about it, and he already knows, like, you can give me 2 options. Go, here, let's go out here and let's go to this festival and have all these drinks, and it's going to be amazing. You're going to be in a crowd of 20 million people, and it's going to be great, right? Or you can stay home in the middle of nowhere and with a book and read till you decide to go to sleep. I'm going to pick the second one. I'm going to be so happy about my decision. And it's like really sad sometimes, because you can't find a midpoint, because there's not a lot of midpoints between that where people are willing to get together and just have a genuine time without there being excessive amount of alcohol involved. That's, right now, these days, it seems really hard to find someone that's in tune with that, right? So I tend to just, my days tend to be more active, and then at night I meditate, go to sleep. and I'm fine with that. I'm happy the way it is. That's how I want to live right now. And that's how I feel good. And I feel like I get more in for myself that way too. So, but not everybody's there. We're going to do a whole other episode about a spiritual partnership when you're in a spiritual path and others are in another place, right? We're going to do an episode about that. But that's kind of that, right? It's finding people that can accompany you in the spiritual path and that can help you connect more with your internal self and your self-love and your whatever you believe in, and the connection between mind, body, spirit. And that's all what self-care and self-love is about, right?
Yeah, it's more than just like going to get a pedicure or a manicure. I think it has to be way more than that, because for me, self-love started with my spiritual path, with really getting in tune with my higher self, with just unconditional love for myself, which I feel like was the hardest thing and it still like is, and it will be, and that's okay. And I've come to terms with that, and I'm okay with that. And it's something that I look forward to working on. I feel like it makes me a better person when I love myself. And another thing I've learned, and that's goes along with the saying no, and not doing things that you feel you need to or have to do, is putting up boundaries with people. What's acceptable to you and what's right in your values, and making sure that you align with those constantly. Because if you're just following a crowd or doing what everyone else is doing, or even it could be with a job, like doing a job because that's what you're supposed to do. Like, are you really loving yourself if you're not following your passion and what you love and what really is going to be for the higher good of everyone around you? I think there's so many elements to self-love that it'll be different for everybody. But for me, it really started with, I think, my decisions and how I was treating others and myself, and how when I started treating myself better, I could be more compassionate with others, and I wasn't so judgmental of others, and I wasn't so, I don't know, I'm more patient now. And I can see, not that I'm a very empathetic person, I feel. And that's also why I think the Akashic Records helped me so much, because it is about self-love for yourself and for whoever's getting their Akashic Records open. All the information you get is coming from a place of self-love. So that's why I think I resonated so much with it at the moment that it kind of came into my life to open other people's records. But boundaries, oh my gosh, boundaries. That's the first thing. It's not allowing things to just happen. Like, you have to say no to things. You have to tell people how you feel. Communication. That's a huge thing for me. Like, being able to say how I feel, and like, this doesn't feel right. Like, I want this to be done this way maybe, or, I don't know. There's just so many elements to it, but it's a work in progress for me and I'm enjoying it and I love it. But you have to be patient with yourself, I think, and find out what it is that your weakness or your lack is, so you can work on that specifically. For me, communication's a huge one. So for me, journaling and listening to myself through journaling is huge. And that allows me to get in tune with my feelings, because I'll ignore them. So if I do that, I can listen to myself, I can see how I'm feeling, work through my emotions, or even going to therapy, which I'm not going that often now. I'm going maybe every 3 weeks. It still helps me. It gives me that space to say how I'm feeling and to get my emotions out, and work through what's going through my head and what's going through my heart, because I have trouble sometimes deciphering those two. Just because I've always kind of worked through my head. I never really listened to how I felt. So it'll be different for everyone. But for me, I think the boundaries are huge. And that's, I think, a lot of readings that I've done for people, that's come up quite a bit, where you feel maybe spiritually that you need to be there for people, but you're ignoring yourself, and that you need to really listen to yourself. I think it starts with that.
Yeah, and we talked about this before. I remember before you got where you are now, because now you go, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. I'm gonna go home instead. You used to not do that, and I remember having conversations with you where you're like, oh, well, then I did this. I'm like, Lorena, it sounds like you never rest. I remember saying that to you. You're going, yeah, well, but then I have to do this, and then I have this, and then this party, and then this wedding, and this, and this baby shower, and there's always something, right? And I'm like, yeah, but you can say no. You can say no. And I think that for a while you're like, yeah. And you kind of didn't really, you knew you could, but you weren't doing it because you weren't putting yourself first. You felt like it was important to be there for those people, right? But it's hard. And I think, like you said, you have to listen to yourself. Is that what I really want to do? And that doesn't mean never going to anything ever again, right? That means you're going to be there for those people, but you got to be there for yourself too. So you got to listen to yourself. Do I feel like going to this? No. Well, maybe I'll just go, maybe find a midway, right? I'll go for maybe 30 minutes and then I'll come back home and the rest of the day is for myself. You don't have to be there for the whole thing. That's something that, like, I think it took you a really long time to get there, and now you are, because now you do go home and you go, no, I'm not up for going to that bar. I'm going to go home. And that's good.
Yeah.
And I hope that a lot more people do that. And also what happened to you in a way that is part of the natural evolution of the process is when you start deciding what you want and you start being true to it and you start listening to yourself, those that are on the different path now, because those people that you used to hang out with or used to do those things with that you no longer do or you no longer really desire to do, they're going to continue in that path that's theirs, and that's fine for them. That makes them happy now. And maybe you'll find someone that's more in tune to what you're doing and what you're more into now, and those people will come into your life. And it's not that you're not going to have that friend anymore. It just means that maybe you're not going to see them so often, or your friendship's going to kind of evolve in a different way, or you'll speak at different moments, or you'll meet up for a cup of coffee and talk about life instead of going to that bar every Friday or something. But life will help you accommodate into what your new evolution is, into your new way of seeing and a way of feeling, way of living. And you'll get people that are more in tune to what you believe and what want. And then those other people will kind of dissipate into the background slowly. Like no fights, no bad discussions, but in a good way. They're going to go be happy in their path, and you can be happy for them from a distance doing your own thing. I've gotten that a lot, especially when I started reading the Akashic Records, right? And especially when I became vegan, and I became that person that they didn't want to hang out with because they didn't even know what to feed me. And it took a while to find like a balance between my friends, and especially in Uruguay where meat is the main dish every day for every meal. So it was really hard to find a midpoint. But I eventually found a group of people that were willing to, when they came to the house, I would host the like get-togethers and movie nights, and I would make the food. And they were all totally accepting of the meals I made. And like, okay, it's vegan. Well, oh, it's actually really good. I thought it was bad. Yeah, it's good. Just because it's vegan doesn't mean it's not good. And so, like, my friendships started evolving in a different way. I started getting new people in, and the other people that no longer served my new belief system kind of faded in the background. And that's okay. And as long as you're happy with where you are and the decisions you're making, that's the point. Like you're in control of your schedule. You're in control of your life. Take control of it. Do what makes you happy.
Like you said in the other episode, don't let other people decide who you are. I love that. I think that's huge because you are in control.
Put you into a box.
Yeah, you can change. You're not supposed to stay the same your whole life. Once you start learning and loving yourself and accepting yourself, you give yourself permission to change and to shift and to do things more aligned with yourself. Where that's what I've done. I totally have done that. Where now I'm like, I can be a grandma. Like I don't have to go out to bars. Like I'm not a grandma. I'm 38, but sometimes I feel like, oh, I need to keep up with everybody or do this. Even some friends are maybe younger than me. Some are older, but once I started giving myself that space to be myself and to do things that made me happy, I started not feeling that, oh, I'm missing out or people are going to hate me or what will they think of me or no, actually, I prefer to go to bed early to wake up early so I can go to yoga on a Saturday morning and I can surround myself with people that are on this journey as well. Even if they're not my friends, I feel aligned with the people that are surrounding me. And I've gotten to a point now where it's like, I need to accept myself. If other people don't accept me, that's okay. Like I need to just live this life that I need to live because it feels good to me. And I feel like finally, for the first time in my life, I'm living the life that I want to live. Obviously, there's things I want to change and there's things that I want to do in a different way. But I am living authentically, more so every day. So I think that's where people need to try to get to and strive for, to just be authentic with themselves and to listen to themselves. And when you start loving yourself, you stop taking, I don't want to curse. you don't take people's negativity, their judgments, and whatever they say, just, they can say whatever they want. You're living your life and you're not hurting anybody. You're living authentically. So it's all good.
Yep, totally. Just make sure that you're happy with your decision and you're doing what you want and not what others want you to do. Because sometimes that happens. Sometimes someone wants you to go to this party or that place or do this thing or do that thing, and you just don't want to. Just make sure that you're true to yourself. As long as the reason you don't want to do it is a good reason, it's a genuinely, sincere, internal, positive thing, as in, it doesn't feel right to me, or I really, really want to do this. This really resonates with me right now. I want to just be alone, or I want to chill out, or I want to, like I said, I want to go to sleep early because tomorrow I have this thing I really want to do. Whatever is the reason, as long as it's a good reason, then it's worth following. Totally. And everything should be in line. That reminds me of when I'm in a really good moment in my life, I'll find myself thinking in my mind. I'll be like, oh my God, thank you so much for this, universe. And thank you so much for that. And thank you for that. And this and this and this. And that's when I know that I've been listening to myself for the past few months, because everything came into place exactly the way it's supposed to the point where I'm totally grateful, and I'm actually really happy where it is and where I am and who's in my life with me, and how I'm living the life, and how things are going for me. Like, I'll find myself thanking, thank you for this and thank you for that, and being grateful for everything. If you're in a place where you're thankful, it means you've been listening to yourself. So that's the goal. The goal is to self-love and self-care to the point where you're thankful of everything around you so much that you have a list of things to be thankful for.
Oh, and that's also a practice in itself, gratitude. We don't give enough space in our lives, I think, to really stop and be grateful for everything, just like your health. Like yesterday when I was in yoga, we were in child's pose, and I started crying. I was like, the teacher said something like, what are you grateful for? Like, whatever comes to your mind. And the first thing was like my health. Like, that's such a silly thing sometimes, but until you get sick, you don't realize how lucky you are to be healthy and to be able to walk, or to be able to go out and, I don't know, ride your bike, or pick up your kid, or I don't know, just those little things. It's not even the big things. It's not about buying things or material things. So for some people it may be, but for me it's these huge things that we don't appreciate sometimes, that we need to be grateful for. Health is huge. And I feel like if we're healthy, our lives can thrive. It's just us also loving ourselves enough to believe that we deserve that. If we don't feel that we deserve things, then we won't strive for them either, right?
A very important part to say, I just want to briefly go over it, because I think this would be for a whole nother episode about like your partner in life. But if you're one of those people that are attracting someone in your life that's not being nice to you, that's not treating you well, that's not loving you for who you are, and it's happened a lot, think about that. Do I love myself? Am I loving myself enough? Do I love myself? Do I think I deserve more? Why does this keep coming into my life? Like, I think that's another thing, and that's a reflection of what we were talking about just a few minutes ago. Like, when you're in a good place internally, everything around you is going to come into place, and whatever friendships need to be created, whatever partnership needs to be created to accompany you in the life, they'll come to you. But if you're doing something you don't want to do, and you're living life the way you don't want to live it, or you're not being genuine to yourself, or you're just doing things wrong, that's probably how the things around you are going to start reflecting, right? They're going to start being, that's what you're attracting to yourself. So just being yourself, just genuinely being yourself and taking care of who that person is and what that person wants, that's going to bring to your life many things, many positive things that will accompany your life. They'll be your life partners and your life family, your friendships, and that's going to be there with your health. If everything's going well, it's going to go there with your health. So those are the basic things you need: companionship, love, your friendships, your partner, your family, and your health. That's the things you really need to genuinely be happy. After that, it's what life throws at you. You got this amazing support system and your health that will help you keep up with whatever life has to throw at you after that.
Yeah. And I think another thing is, when you start loving yourself, things start falling into place. So trusting that if you're living authentically and you're loving yourself completely and fully, and certain people might leave your life, like you were saying, new people might come in, things will change, physical things will change. But if you're always living from that place of self-love and being authentic and being yourself, that things will work out. They will work out one way or another, even if they're hard for a while. I think that's part of loving yourself, trusting the process, trusting yourself to guide yourself in the right direction, and also being patient, because sometimes it takes a while. And patience is definitely a virtue, and we need to learn that. And I feel like maybe people that have kids find it easier to be patient, but I think we can all learn patience with ourselves and being gentle with ourselves. And that will just get you so much further than if you're trying to force something. Just live authentically, be yourself, figure out who you are. I still feel like I'm figuring out who I am at moments. I feel like I've gotten closer because I'm actually listening to myself now. But, no one teaches us to do that. No one teaches us to, hey, who are you? Question yourself. Like, what do you really want to do? Don't just follow the crowd. Don't just do what you need to do to be cool or to fit in. Do what makes you happy. And I feel like that's where we need to move towards. That's what we need to move more into in this life, and being more spiritual, and what we bring onto our kids and onto our families, being the example. If you can be the example for people, people will learn from you too. And it's not forcing things on people. People will see you thrive. They'll see you living this really fulfilled life, and they'll understand that they can also do it too, and that it's possible. And it all starts with you loving yourself, with you accepting yourself, giving yourself that space, that time, the permission to listen to yourself and love yourself. Even if there's things you don't accept about yourself or things that you've done, you can still forgive yourself and love yourself. Always. Always.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Totally agree with everything you just said.
Yeah, awesome. All right, I think that's about it. I don't think there's much more we want to say about self-love. I mean, there could be hours more of talk, but I think we just wanted to give an idea of how we love ourselves and how our journey kind of was. And I think a lot of my journey was set on my solo episode, so I don't want to go too much into that again. But just realize that everyone's on their own journey. Everyone's journey is going to be completely different, and that you really need to listen to yourself, to love yourself, and give yourself that space and time, and that you will get there. Be patient and have faith. Have faith that whatever you feel is right to do is going to take you on that path of complete fulfillment and self-love. And it will come, but you just need to give yourself time and space. Yeah.
Yep, totally on. Yep.
All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and we will see you next week with a new episode. And like always, feel free to reach out if there's anything you want us to touch on, any subjects or anything like that. And thank you so much for tuning in and joining us. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all for tuning into this episode all about self-love and self-care. There are so many things we can do to take care of ourselves, and everyone's journey looks so different. Try not to compare your journey to anyone else's, but seek out inspiration in others and how you can feel better every single day. It's not a race to the finish line. It's a journey, and there is no end. We would love to hear your feedback and thoughts on the episode, and also let us know what other topics you would like us to cover. We want to make sure that we're putting out material that you're interested in and that really provide value for everyone. So be sure to let us know what you want to hear from us and what really resonates with you. Be sure to connect with us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is @soul_tribe_podcast. And also share this episode with anyone that you think might benefit from this information. We really want to make sure we get this information to the right people and to help as many people as possible. So if you can help us with that, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love you all, and we'll catch you all on the next episode. Thank you.